ॐ यो ब्रह्माणं विदधाति पूर्वं यो वै वेदांश्च प्रहिणोति तस्मै तं देवमात्मबुद्धिप्रकाशम् मुमुक्षुर्वै शरणमहं प्रपद्ये। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। ॐ नमो ब्रह्मादिभ्यो ब्रह्मविद्या सम्प्रदायकर्तृभ्यो वंशर्षिभ्यो महद्भ्यो नमो गुरुभ्यः। सर्वोपप्लवरहितः प्रज्ञानघनः प्रत्यगर्थो ब्रह्मैवाहमस्मि ब्रह्मैवाहमस्मि। वेदान्तार्थविभासकाय गुरवे शान्ताय सन्न्यासिने नानावादीनगेन्द्रसङ्घपवये योगीन्द्रवन्द्याय च मोहध्वान्तदिवाकराय भगवत्पादाभिधां बिभ्रते तस्मै भाष्यकृते नमोऽस्तु सततं पूर्णाय बोधात्मने। अथ द्वितीयोऽध्यायः। Here begins the second chapter. The second chapter is titled as Sankhya Yoga. As every chapter of Bhagavad Gita is called as yoga because, and with a different name, but calling it yoga is common to all the 18 chapters. Throughout Bhagavad Gita, the common theme is knowledge of Brahman. Though this is the common theme which runs through all the 700 verses, yet every chapter has a topic which is predominantly dealt with. Principally, it is the oneness of Atma and Brahma. Yet, depending upon the next important topic or the way in which Brahma Vidya, the angle through which the Brahma Vidya is expounded, is then called as the title of that topic about chapter and as yoga. Over here, the word Sankhya has nothing to do with the school of philosophy called as Sankhyas. It means such. The word here in this present context, it means knowledge, and samyak means well-established, clear, doubtless knowledge. So what is the as the title suggests, the subject matter of this chapter is the knowledge. So, knowledge of what? Knowledge of Atma. Why is this knowledge of Atma over here when Arjuna's grief is to be addressed? Is because whatever is the form of misery, then that misery can be can be can be dealt with in two ways. There are two remedies to it. One is an immediate addressal, and one is addressing the very cause. Okay, one is a symptomatic treatment and one is the causal treatment. So presently, though the grief seems to be on account of, coming to the battle and facing the people that one loves, yet this grief, which makes a person take to those means or those ways of life or those actions which are not in tandem with dharma. So thus it creates, this is the reason for even adharma. And it can be totally removed, completely removed. And the only way to overcome the grief completely is through the knowledge of Brahman, is knowing the Atma is Brahman. And therefore, this knowledge is what is being imparted over here by Shri Krishna. So we are going to see this second chapter. In fact, we can call this second the very what do they call, distinguishing mark about the second chapter is that it not only inaugurates Sri Krishna's instruction, Upadesha, teaching over here, but in fact, whatever is going to follow in all these remaining 16 chapters from here onwards, is somewhere or the other indicated, it has got its seed in the second chapter. So entire 16 chapters following, since we have the first chapter is only Arjuna expressing his grief. Second chapter is where Shri Krishna Bhagavan starts giving the knowledge, his discourse. Third chapter onwards till the 18th chapter, end of 18th chapter, is expansion of this very knowledge which is there in the second chapter. Okay, so the rest of the chapters are expansion of this second chapter. And hence the second chapter becomes a very important part. Now we are going to start this second chapter. It begins with a verse coming from Sanjaya's mouth. Sanjaya Vacha Tam Tatha. It is not Sanjaya Vacha. Sanjaya Vacha Tam Tatha Kripaya Vishtam. Tam Tatha Kripaya Vishtam. Ashrupurna Kulekshanam. Ashrupurna Kulekshanam. Vishidantamidam Vakyam. Uvacha Madhusudanaha. Uvacha Madhusudanaha. Sanjaya said, to him, to tam tatha kripaya vishim, to whom? To Arjuna. Arjuna, who was kripaya vishtam, who was overwhelmed, who was as if possessed by this sense of helplessness. Okay, who was possessed by this dainyam, helplessness. And then kripaya vishtam, so though it is compassion, etc., but kripaya, it is dainyam. Kripaya vishtam, ashrupurna kulekshanam, that akulekshanam, the eyes were what do they have, filled with tears, with water, with tears, and the eyes were visibly distressed. The distress was visible, akula, very disturbed, akulekshanam. So the distress, Arjuna's distress, despair was visible in his eyes. Okay, to this Arjuna. So this was not something that Arjuna was pretending. It indeed had shaken up Arjuna from the core. And so the eyes which had welled up with tears now were clearly showing his inner disturbance. Akule ksharam. Akula means extremely disturbed. Vishidantamidam vakyam, to this Arjuna who was Vishidantam, who was sad. Vishidantam idam vakyam uvacha. This sentence was spoken by Madhusudana. Vakyam uvacha. Madhusudana thus spoke this sentence. Who is Madhusudana? Again, we have seen this. Madhusudana is an epithet of Shri Krishna. And Madhu was a demon who was slain by Shri Krishna. And therefore, Shri Krishna is the one who could overcome even this, the evil forces like Madhu, Kaitava, and therefore he is called as Madhusudana. Thus spoke these words. Now, ahimsa paramo dharmaha pikshashanam cha ityevam lakshanaya buddhya yuddha vaimukhyam arjunasya shrutva. When Dhritarashtra heard in the first chapter that how Arjuna was now ready to give up the battle, Yuddha Vaimukhyam, and to take to even life of beggary. Dhritarashtra's hope that Arjuna, that my seat, my throne is still safe, and it will, my children, Duryodhana, etc., will be able to take this position. So this hope in what do they call, in this blind king's heart once again blossomed. Swaputranam rajyam aprachalitam iti avadharya. Thus, he somewhere was able to have that hope, and then thought that yes, Arjuna is breaking and falling down now. Swastha hridayasya Dhritarashtrasya harshanimitam tat kimritam. And therefore he was very keen on wanting to know what happened now. When is Arjuna going to leave the battle and go? When is he going to give up? So that Nishkantaka, my children, will be able to enjoy this kingdom without any opposition, any contenders. So and therefore he was keen, and even before he could ask the question, what happened next to Sanjaya knew what was there going on in Dhritarashtra's mind, and therefore Sanjaya vacha. Thus Why does Sanjaya's Vakya come over here? Is because knowing well what is happening in Dhritarashtra's mind, and even before Dhritarashtra can ask the question, Sanjaya spoke. Tatha swabhava siddhaya avishtam. Ha. What is there? Iti akamsham apaninishu Sanjaya. What does Sanjaya want to do over here is to even remove that hope from Dhritarashtra's mind, that just don't think because Arjuna he has broken down over here and he is overwhelmed by that compassion and grief, does not mean that you have won the battle without even fighting it. And even if you were to fight, there were no chances of you ever winning, because there stands Arjuna along with Shri Krishna on the other side. This is what he will make it clear at the end of Bhagavad Gita. Yatra yogeshvara Krishna, yatra partho dhanurdharaha, tatra shrir vijayo bhuti dhruvani tir matir mama. Wherever Arjuna with his bow and Shri Krishna stand together, over there success, dharma, niti, which means niti means morality, ethics, opulence, splendor, prosperity, all these things will definitely be there. Wherever Arjuna, along with Shri Krishna, Arjuna is Dhanurdhara, Yatra Patho Dhanurdharaha. Arjuna, who is building the bow and arrow, stands along with Shri Krishna. All these things will come naturally as a consequence. So the willingness to perform your duty with Ishvara by your side definitely means all these things will naturally come into life. He will make it clear over there. But over here, before even Dhritarashtra could have, since Dhritarashtra has that little hope that maybe Arjuna leaves the battlefield and goes away, now Sanjaya says that he wants to remove such kind of even that hope, and that hope is what? An evil hope. So he wants to remove that. Kripa. Now over here, what is this shloka? Tam tatha kripaya vishtam. Kripa is what? Compassion. Mame eteti vyamoha nimitta sneha visheshaha. What is kripa? Kripa over here is just not simple compassion, etc. But kripa over here is mame ete, these are my people. I belong to them, they belong to me. So the sense of possessiveness or the sense of belongingness which is there in us towards the world. Now this is a vyamoha. It is in fact nothing else but only a delusion. It is only a delusion. Vyamoha. And what is the nimitta? Sneha Vishesha nimitta. That kripa has risen because of the sneha. Because what is it called? Viscosity? Yeah. Like how oil is viscous material, that is sneha, viscosity. Sneha nimitta, sneha visheshaha. Taya svabhava siddhaya avishtam vyaptam. So now avishtam, kripaya avishtam. Avishtam means possessed. Arjuna is taken over. Avishtam. Arjuna is taken over, possessed. So which means Arjuna is not in his own, what do they say? In his own nature, but he is now being controlled by something that has come. Avishtam. Arjunasya. That is okay. Ataha eva kripa vishada vashad ashrubihi purne akule darshana darshana darshanakshamecha Ikshane yasya tam. And how is Arjuna? Because of this kripa, because of this sense of compassion, a misplaced compassion, okay, compassion towards people who are somewhere, you know, what do they, who have met with injustice, or who have some inability, or who are in some way little weaker, and therefore they cannot run the race, etc. Such, to have compassion for these people is is justified. But over here, compassion only because they are mine is misplaced. And so Arjuna's eyes filled with tears. What is the point in saying that Arjuna's eyes were filled with tears? Because he is now the tears are not allowing Arjuna to see properly. Darshana akshami. That akshay is not capable. It does not have the kshamata, to capacity to see things clearly. So his vision is blurred because of the tears gathered in the eyes. Evam ashrupata vyakuli bhavakyakaryadvaya janakataya pariposham gathabhyam kripa vishadabhyam udvignam tam arjunam idam sopapattikam vakshamanam vakyam vacha. So, Ashrupat, the eyes filled with the tears rolling out of his eyes, and his heart, which is now disturbed in a state of turmoil over there. Akuli bhavakya. These are the two things which are happening to Arjuna. Kripa vishadabhyam udvignam. And the turmoil is because of this misplaced kindness or compassion, and also the intense sadness. Arjuna is udvigna, disturbed. To this Arjuna, Shri Krishna spoke these words. Sopapattikam. And how are these words? Sopapattikam, they are logical. Upapatti sahitam. Vakyam vacha. And so over here, what is Sanjaya suggesting is that when this was the state of Arjuna, Shri Krishna did not neglect him. Okay? Natu upekshitavan. Shri Krishna does not neglect him, does not ignore, does not push that issue under the carpet, but addresses it. Madhusudanaiti. Swayam dushta nigraha karta arjunam prati tatha eva vakshati iti bhavaha. So Madhusudana, he himself is someone who Shri Krishna is someone who destroys the evil. So also Arjuna has also done something like this, punished the wrongdoers, etc. So tam Arjunam prati Madhusudana uvacha. Shri Bhagavan Vacha, Shri Bhagavan Vacha, Kutastva Kashmanamitam, Kutastva Kashmanamitam, Vishame Samupasthitam, Vishame Samupasthitam, Anarya Jushtamasvaryam, Anarya Jushtamasvaryam. Akirti karam Arjuna, Akirti karam Arjuna. Shri Bhagavan said, the blessed Lord said, Arjuna, Kutastva Kashmalamidam. Where from this impurity, Kashmalam is from where has this Kutaha, from where has this Kashmalam is impurity, has come to you in this, on this occasion of great crisis. This is the wrong place. From where has this come to you. Kashmalamidam Vishame Samupasthitam Anarya Jushtam, and this is something not befitting you, because it is anaryam, not befitting a person who follows dharma, righteousness, not befitting a righteous person. Anaryam, anarya jushtam, something that can be taken up by people who are not willing to live righteously, who have cunning ways of living. For them, for these people, it may appear fine and justified, but Arjuna, not for you. Anarya Jushtam. So also this Kashmalam is how? Anarya Jushtam Aswaryam. It will not even lead to attainment of heaven. So it is not Punya Janakam. And then Akirti Karam. It will also bring defame. It will bring defame to you. Is it right to say defame? Can defame be used as a noun? Huh? Any idea? No idea. Defame is a verb, right? Oh yeah, correct. Defamation. It will bring defamation. Akirti Karam. Hey Arjuna. So for Arjuna, now Shri Krishna has started, and this is what he first spoke. Kutastva Kashmalamidam. From where has these things, where has this path, from where has this impurity come to you? Who is speaking? Over here, Bhagavan Vedavyasa, the author of Mahabharata, who has kept this Bhagavad Gita as a part of Mahabharata, does not write Shri Krishna as Shri Vasudeva Uvacha or anything. Shri Krishna Uvacha. He says Shri Bhagavan Uvacha. He says Shri Bhagavan Uvacha. What is the meaning of word Bhagavan? Tadeva Bhagavato Vakyam Avatarayati Shri Bhagavan Uvacha. Bhagavan means those who want to jot it down can jot it down. Aishwaryasya samagrasya dharmasya yashasa shriyah vairagyasya tatha mokshasya shannam bhagaitingana. These are the 6 qualities, and when they are in full measure are called as bhaga. The one who has this bhaga is called as Bhagavan. The one who has these 6 qualities in full measure is called as Bhagavan. What is that? Aishwarya. Aishwarya means, where did we do in Bhagavad Gita only before? Morning class. Okay. Bhagavato Bhaktir Dradhati Yatam, in that part. All right. Aishwarya, this is the meaning of word Bhagavan. Aishwaryasya. What is Aishwaryam? Aishwarya means the power to control. Ishana Shakti is there. So that Aishwaryam. Samagrasya. This Samagrasya goes with all as its adjective. So Samagrasya Aishwaryasya, Samagrasya Dharmasya, Samagrasya Yashasaha, Samagrasya Shriyaha, Samagrasya Vairagyasya, Samagrasya Mokshasya. So all the 6 qualities. What are the 6 qualities enumerated over here? Aishwarya, then Samagra is not a quality. Samagra means totally, completely. It is an adjective to all this. So, Samagra Aishwarya, then Samagra Dharma, then Samagra Yasha, Samagra Shriya, Shri, Samagra Vairagya, and Samagra Moksha. These are the 6 qualities, and totally in total absolute measure. Aishwaryasya, Aishwarya is this power to control. His power to control. And how is it? It is absolute. So then dharma, absolute dharma rests in him. Righteousness. Yasha. Yasha is fame. Recognizing someone as superior. Okay, yasha. Because one must know this yasha is like the flag on the chariot. Even before you meet the person, you meet his fame. And therefore it is said that fame travels ahead of the person. It's like so even when you see the chariot coming, you cannot see who exactly is sitting over there, but by looking at the flag, the indication, you know it is this person. So it is like knowing him, it travels before. Fame, yasha, and shri is wealth. Okay, vairagya is dispassion, and moksha. These are the 6 qualities, and wherever they are in full measure, the one that's is called as Bhagavan. Okay, and over here, moksha means jnanam. Over here, the word moksha means jnanam. Okay, because moksha is only one. Then how can you say that, like many mokshas are total, all mokshas? No, moksha being one, it means jnanam. The word ingana in the shloka, in this verse, means they are named, they are called as Bhaga. Okay. Etadrisham samagra ishwaryadikam nityam apratibandhena yatra vartate sa Bhagavan. So there where these 6 qualities are always ever evident, Nityam apratibandhena vartate, without any kind of pratibandhas, any obstacle, nothing clouds it, nothing blurs it. So that is called as Bhagavan. There is one more definition of the word Bhagavan, and he brings it here. Madhusudana Saraswati, Utpattim cha vinasham cha bhutanamagatim gatim Vetti vidyam vidyancha savacho Bhagavan iti. Who is called as Bhagavan? Bhutanam utpattim vetti, bhutanam vinasham vetti, bhutanam agatim gatim vetti, bhutanam vidyam vetti, bhutanam avidyam vetti. So he who knows all this is called as Bhagavan. Over here, the stress is on the one who knows and knows about all the beings. What does he know about them? Utpattim, their cause of birth. Their cause of birth. So no matter how many births that we may undergo, every birth is known along with its cause very clearly, like an apple in the hand to him. So, Utpattim Vetti, Vinasham Vetti, their destruction is also known. Bhutanama Gatim Gatim Vetti, whatever that person is now going to experience, that particular Jiva is going to experience in form of prosperity or in form of some calamity, everything, Sampattim, Apattim, everything is known. Vidyam and avidya is also known to him. He is called as Bhagavan. Etadrusho Bhagavad Shabdarthaha Shri Vasudeve Eva Paryavasati Iti Tathochate. So all this go and have finally come to reveal it is Bhagavan Vasudeva Shri Krishna. And so over here, Shri Krishna is called as Bhagavan. Thus, this Bhagavan, Shri Krishna spoke. Idam Swadharma Paramukhatvam Krupa Vyamoha Shrupatadi Purasaram Kashmalam Shishta Garhitatvena Malinam Vishame Asamaye Asthane Tvam Sarvakshatriya Pravaram Kuto Hetoho Samupasthitam Praptam. Arjuna, Idam, this is Kashmala. It is Kashmala means it is an impurity. Something that comes in and sits in the wrong place, then is impurity. Okay? Is impurity. Idam Swadharma is impurity. So Idam Swadharma Parangkhatvam. What is the impurity over here? That turning away from one's own duty, turning away from what is righteously, what is the righteous course of action, turning away from the righteous course of action. And for Arjuna presently, turning away from fighting for justice, for truth, for principles is what is his duty, what is righteous course of action for him. And he is turning it away just because these are the people whom I love. Though these are the people whom you love, but they are today standing to protect what is wrong. They are the people who are standing over there to protect what is wrong. So Swadharmat Param Katvam Krupa Vyamoha Shupatadi Purasaram. Now over here, all these things, your expression of kindness, or you even getting eyes filled with tears, your mind going into the turmoil, disturbance, all these things which have made you turn away from the righteous course of action is Kashmalam. And it is Shishta Garhitatvena Malinam, because this is not what is appreciated by the learned and the wise people. Shishta means those who are learned, wise, enlightened. For people who are learned, wise, enlightened, for them all this kind of a life or this decision is something which is what do they call, looked down upon by them, is not appreciated by them. Vishame, in asamaye, in an odd time. Vishama samaya means in the wrong time. It is wrongly time. If you were to have any compassion when you were still talking to them, perhaps you could have had still wanting to convince them, how you could have adopted another means. It was okay, but now these people are beyond any even talking to them. So Vishame asamaye asthaneva tvam sarvakshatriya pravaram kuto hetoho samupasthitam praptam. And you are one of the best warriors, the upright people in you. Where has this come from? Okay. Kim mokshe chata. So Shri Krishna is not asking a question, wanting to inquire why, from where is it come. It is an objection telling Arjuna that no, this is not what should be there. Moksha. Now, people, by the word Arya over here. So look at this, one of the earlier commentaries before India could have been divided into Arya and Dravida division, this political thing. Madhu. So generally, this has what has happened over the last 50, 60 years, ever since British chose to write. rewrite the his rewrite the what the Indian history, wanting to say that the Aryan invasion, because they themselves were invaders who arrived on the shores of India as invaders, and then wanting to justify that how invaders are good for you local people who were otherwise barbarians. So they said that let us create. They created what do they call, a theory, a hypothesis, unproven, which was blindly accepted because the education system was developed by the British, and thus generations after generations got educated under the same thing, thinking that this is justified. Aryan invasion. So they created that thing that Aryans were invaders and Dravidians were the people who originally belonged to this land. And Aryans then came and then civilized the rest of them and thus pushed them farthest to the south. And this is where the Aryans live, and the Dravidians live, and Aryans. This divide of India as North India and South India, and so because that was the policy, divide and rule, whose the consequences we still are facing. But this is written by Madhusudana Saraswati in the 15th, 16th century, before the British would ever take up the education system. And over here, Madhusudana Saraswati is clearly giving you the traditional meaning of the word Arya over here. It does not mean a race of people which came and invaded. The word, because wanting to explain the word Anarya Jushtam, you will have to explain what is Aryam, what is Arya Jushtam. So in order to explain what is Arya Jushtam, what is Arya, who is an Arya needs to be told. And so just in few words, not wanting to refute, because there was no point, because this theory was not raised even there. This hypothesis that did not even exist in the educated class of India there then. So what is it? He says, Aryaihi, by the Aryas. So is it North Indians then? Aryas means Mumukshubhihi. The word Arya means, for Madhusudana, he makes it very clear, the people who are seeking moksha are Arya here. So when Shri Krishna is saying this is Anarya Chishtam, this is this kind of a life and this kind of decisions could be befitting to people who are Anaryas, who are not Aryas, Anaryas. He does not mean that this is befitting to the Dravidas or the South Indians, because it is not at all the meaning of the word Anarya. Arya means mumukshu. Arya bhihi means Arya means mumukshuhi. By mumukshus. Na jushtam asevitam. It is not something that is worthy of the mumukshus. Then what is worthy of mumukshus? To live a righteous life. If there is in any way one has recognized the importance of moksha as a purushartha to be attained by that person naturally will have importance to dharma in his life. And therefore, even if you are a mumukshu, the resorting to adharma is, or giving up your own dharma, giving up righteousness, because people who are unrighteous are your relatives, is not what is befitting. And this is therefore Anarya Chushta. So now please look at it. Even in Bhagavad Gita, when Shri Krishna speaks about Arya and Anarya, it is not talking about the division of the races of India. Just because somebody is fair, since they are living in North, and the darker skinned people are those south of India, does not mean that this is two races and one is Arya, one is not Arya, one is what do they call an Arya race. Let us fight this unproven theory, hypothesis as history. Just that hypothesis is taken to be history. And that hypothesis was also an hypothesis of cunning policy of divide and rule. Arya, this is what happens when history is taught to you by invaders. Aryaihi mumukshubhihi na jushtam asevitam swadharmaihi ashaya shuddhi dwara moksham ichchadbhi apakvakashayaihi mumukshubhihi katham swadharmatyajyaha ityarthaha. Why righteousness will be followed by the mumukshus? Because by living the righteous way of life, the mumukshu is able to see that he will overcome his weaknesses. The impurities of mind, which expresses as innumerable, uncontrolled, and brittle desires, they will be overcome. And therefore, even if the person is a mumukshu, Arya, he will not resort to giving up of righteous living. He will not resort to the Swadharma Tyaga. Okay, that's why Anadya Jushtam. Aswargyam. So Shri Krishna says this kind of a behavior is aswargyam, because swarga hetu dharma virodhitvat na swarge chaya sevyam. Maybe you are not a mumukshu, but you want to have a very pleasant, comfortable life even hereafter. Swargadi sukham. Even if you want Swargadi sukham hereafter, this is not what you should be doing. Therefore, it is aswargyam. It will not give you even that swarga, etc., heaven, etc. Therefore, aswargyam. Okay, I do not even bother about that. Whatever are my achievements in this world are important to me. Then amongst those achievements in this world, being appreciated by people, being known to people, being respected by people is important. Even that will not happen because it is akirtikaram. So all the three things, hey, this is, even if you are a mumukshu, hey, it is this kind of a life, this decision of you giving up the battle and going away is of no use. Even if you are not a mumukshu, but swargarthi, not a moksharthi, it cannot become your path to swarga. And even if you seek something just in this world, in this life, you have an achievement which will be respected by people, hey, it is not even that. Akirtikaram. So from every angle, Arjuna, this kripa which you think is the compassion, which is very a great quality but misplaced, does not keep its glory up. Akirtikaram, kirtiya bhavakaram, apakirtikaram va. Akirtikaram means kirti abhavakaram. It can have two meanings. Kirti abhavakaram or apakirtikaram. Okay? No kirti chaya sevyam. Tatha cha moksha kamaihi, swarga kamaihi, kirti kamaihi cha varjaniyam. Therefore, people who are seeking moksha, if not moksha, even if they are seeking anything like heaven, or people who are seeking achievements, respect in this very world, even for those people, this course of action that you want to follow means what? Giving up your own swadharma is Varjaniyam is something that should be avoided. Evam tatkamaha tvam sevasaityaho anuchitam. And you can be a mumukshu, you can be svargati, you can be ihaloka kirti, you can be seeking. And therefore for you this is not what you should resort to. Anuchitam. Tava etat tava anuchitam. This is not a becoming of you, O Arjuna. Bhagavan Krishna further says, Klaipyam asmagam partha. You want to say it again? Klaipyam asmagam partha. Klaipyam asmagam partha. Naitatvayupapadyate. Naitatvayupapadyate. Shudram hridaya daurbalyam. Shudram hridaya daurbalyam. Tyaktvottishta parantapa. Tyaktvottishta parantapa. Klaipyam asmagam partha. Arjuna, give up this Klaipyam. Klaipyam means the sense of what is it called? Not unmanly. Wait. Let us translate it as unmanly over here. That will be better. Kliba is a eunuch. Eunuch means a person who does not have the capacity to procreate. In the sense, because he is eunuch, hermaphrodite. Okay. And therefore, Klaipya is napumsaka. Kliba is napumsaka, unmanly. Tasya bhavaha, klibasya bhavaha, klaipyam. Okay. Kind of. But a person can be a male and still be an important. So, just saying important does not bring out that meaning. Klaipyam asmagamah partha. Let this be gone. Mas Arjuna, don't allow this to come. Hey Partha, again he is reminding Arjuna that your mother, you are the son of this brave woman who has faced every possible adversity that one can imagine. And yet she has stood like a lighthouse in all the cyclones. Look at that woman. You are a son of this woman who has stood firmly, not being thrown, not being trampled, though the circumstances were very much against her. Until this point, but she did not get rattled. She did not allow the circumstances to rule her. She stood firmly. So you are the son, of this woman, Kritha. And therefore, hey Partha, remember your mother. Masvagama Partha, na etat tvayupapadyate. This does not become of you. Etat tvayi na upapadyate. Shudram hridaya daurbalyam. This hridaya daurbalya, this is the weakness of your heart, weakness of your mind, is Shudram. is insignificant. Don't give importance to those issues which are insignificant and make them very important. Hridaya daurbalyam tyaktva uttishta parantapa. Give that up and uttishta, stand up, O Arjuna. And Arjuna is again he is addressed by another epithet, and that is parantapa, which means the one who has scorched. Parantapa means the scorcher of the enemies. The one, if he stands on the ground, his brilliance is such that it scorches and the enemies. Nobody would want to come close to combat. From far only they are defeated. That is what you are, Parantapa, O Arjuna. From where has this unbecoming thing come to you? Okay, Tayar Bhuja. Now, that Ayogyam, let us see more of it when we meet next. But Arjuna over here, in spite of Shri Krishna's provoking him, Arjuna says, how can I still fight the battle? Because the necessary psychological state which is required even to take any action and to take it to its final consequence requires great strength. O Shri Krishna, all my strength is drained away. All my strength has drained away. I am not even able to hold the bow properly. My legs are shaking that I cannot even stand in my shoes over here on the chariot. And you are saying that give that up and fight? Not possible. So Arjuna is expressing his inability. And then after, Arjuna surrenders and seeks knowledge. And from there, from the 11th verse onwards, Bhagavan Krishna begins what is the main body of Bhagavad Gita. Let us come to that once when we maybe in next class onwards. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamidachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Krutau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavad Vyapta Dehaya Dakshina Murtaye Namaha. Thank you all. Thank you very much.